In this week's video, we're showing you how to build a traditional jewelry armoire using Queen Anne bun feet and project lumber from Osborne. All of the steps in this build can be customized to fit your needs and your space. Stay tuned for a full tutorial. For this build, we're using cherry 5/4 project lumber from Osborne as the main structure for our vanity. We're using a 96-inch length, so I'll start by cutting it into some more manageable pieces and planing it down to a starting thickness of 1 inch thick for the sides and top panels. The width of these panels will be 12 inches, so I'll be able to run it back through the planer after the glue up has dried to remove any unwanted seams. Once the lumber is planed down, I'll cut it to a rough final length, leaving about 1/4 inch that I'll cut down after the glue up. The overall dimensions for this vanity are 36 by 20 by 12, so these side panels will be cut to 24 inches and the top will be cut to 20 inches long. Now that our lumber is milled, we can glue up all 4 panels for the sides and top. To save clamps, I'm gluing up 2 panels at a time in each set of clamps. Just make sure to keep track of your glue line orientation when using this method. While the panels are drying, we can begin working on the skirt boards for the base of the vanity. The base will be a smaller version of a traditional table base kit and will use 2.5 inch wide skirt boards for the support. I'll cut these to their final length using a miter saw and rip them to the final width on the table saw. If you're interested in a full cut list for all of the parts used in this project, you can reference the link below. I decided to add a small roundover detail on the bottom edge of the skirt boards to flow better with the rest of the design. These can be cut using a handheld router before moving on to assembly. To attach these skirt boards to the Queen Anne feet, we're going to be using wooden dowels, so I first need to make corresponding marks on each piece to make sure that they line up properly. Next, I can use a doweling jig and a drill bit to bore out the holes for the wooden dowels. There are various methods you can use to attach these skirt boards, such as mortise and tenon joinery. However, we chose dowels as they are very easy to install and help with alignment during assembly. Next, I'll transfer those same marks onto the Queen Anne feet so that they line up properly when installed. For this, I'm just using a straight edge to mark out the locations for the holes, keeping in mind the measurements that I used on the skirt boards. You will need to adjust the depth of your drill bit since we are not using the doweling jig, so keep that in mind during your project. Next, we'll add pocket holes on the back side of the skirt board to give extra support in the corners of the base. Once the pocket holes are added, we can assemble the base by adding some wood glue to the dowel holes and securing the corners using a wood screw. As I mentioned, we are using Queen Anne legs for this project, and this is the Devonshire bun foot from Osborne Part 6100 on our website. If you're interested in these bun foot or any of the products used in this build, be sure to check out the links below. Now that our base is assembled, we can remove the panels from the clamps and bring them down to their final dimensions. I'll start by cutting the sides to their final length of 24 inches and the top and bottom panels to their final length of 20 inches. Next, I can bring them down to their final thickness of 3/4 inch using my benchtop planer. This will also remove any unwanted glue squeeze out or uneven seams. For the top and bottom panels, I added a roundover on 3 sides to match the skirt boards. This vanity is designed to sit against the wall, so I kept the back edge square, as each piece will assemble flush along the back side. Next, we can attach the base to the bottom panel, making sure to measure for our proper overhangs, and attaching with a wood screw into some pre-drilled pocket holes. Next, I'll cut out the back panel for the vanity using 1/2-inch plywood. This will be attached to the sides using a 1/2-inch rabbet, so keep that in mind when measuring for your back panel. Next, I'll measure out for the rabbets on the side panels by making marks from the side and face of the board. Then I can transfer those marks to my router table. If using a handheld router for this process, I do suggest making multiple passes at shallower depths to avoid any jumping on the router bit. Now I can add some wood glue to the rabbets and insert the back panel. To attach this panel, I'm just using some pneumatic staples to hold in place while the glue dries. Next, I'll begin working on the face frame for the front side of the vanity. Once again, I'm using the 5/4 cherry lumber and cutting the rails and stiles to length on my miter saw. Then I'll rip them to their final width using a table saw. Once again, all of these dimensions for each piece are listed down below, so be sure to check it out for a full cut list. I'll start by assembling the outer frame, making sure the assembly is square before adding the middle rails. To attach this face frame, I'm just using some pocket holes along the back edge, as these will be hidden during the final assembly. Next, I need to make sure to space the middle rails evenly based on the size of my drawers. This vanity will have 4 drawers evenly spaced, with drawer faces measuring roughly 4 inches wide. So be sure to take your drawer sizes into account when spacing out your middle rails. Once marked, we can clamp them in place and then attach using the same pocket hole method. Now I can install the face frame onto the front side of the cabinet using some wood glue and a pneumatic staple in each corner. I chose to attach this directly through the face, as I will be adding some grain match wood filler to cover the holes. Next, I decided to cut a plywood bottom for the cabinet to make it easier to attach to the base. For this, I'm just using the leftover 1/2-inch plywood and cutting it to the exact interior size of the cabinet. I'll add a few pocket holes along the bottom side and install that into the base of the cabinet. Now that our two halves are assembled, we can attach them together using some wood screws through that plywood base. Make sure to measure for your proper overhang before attaching, keeping in mind that the back side will be flush. Then pre-drill a hole in each corner and attach using a wood screw. I did choose to add one of these metal mending plates along the back edge just to add a little bit more strength to the cabinet. This is not a necessary step, however it can be helpful depending on how heavy the use is for your project. We're now ready to start building our drawers for this project, starting with the drawer boxes. Once again, I'm using the 1/2-inch plywood for the sides of the box and a 1/4-inch piece of plywood for the bottom. I'll rip these to their final width on my table saw before cutting them to their final length on the miter saw. The sizing for these drawer boxes will be dependent on how many drawers you have and how tall your project is. To create the same size drawer box that we did, please be sure to reference the cut list below. Before assembling the drawer boxes, we need to add a 1/4-inch groove along the bottom edge that will accept the bottom panel. To do this, I'm making 2 passes for each board with the table saw depth set to 1/4 inch. To assemble the drawer boxes, I can add some wood glue to each notch and attach at the corners using a brad nailer or a stapler. This is a very simple and easy way to build drawer boxes, however there are other methods depending on how complex you want your build to be. The important thing is to make sure that all of your boxes are square to make sure that they function properly with the drawer slides. Once the boxes are done, I'll cut out some rails for each drawer out of some leftover 1x material. These will be what we use to attach the wooden drawer slides to and will sit flush with the edge of the face frame. I'm cutting these down to the same width as the drawer openings and then cutting them to the same length as the interior. To install these, I'll position them flush with the edge of the face frame and secure them in place using some pre-drilled pocket holes. Next, I'll begin working on the wooden drawer slides, and for this project we'll be using wooden slides. This is a very easy way to build slides, and it works very well for smaller drawers. You can use metal drawer slides if you prefer, just take that into account when sizing your boxes. For this project, I'm installing one rail right in the middle of the drawer box that will fit between 2 rails on the inside of the cabinet. I made sure to sand these pieces smooth to avoid any kind of friction when using the drawers. Next, I'll place the drawer assembly into its space and use some spacers at the bottom to keep the drawer centered in its opening. Next, I'll make a mark where the rail meets the face frame so that I can add the top and bottom rails to the interior. You want to make sure the interior rails are not too tight against the drawer box, as it can keep it from opening smoothly. It's also a good idea to avoid finishing these parts and adding a little bit of wax to allow the drawers to function properly. Once the bottom rails are installed and we've made sure the drawer fits properly into the opening, we can install the top rail, leaving a gap of about 1/16 of an inch for wood movement. The last step for our drawers is to create the drawer faces. For this, I'm using some of the leftover 5/4 cherry to match the rest of the project. I'll cut them down to their final length and width and run them through the planer to bring them down to the matching 3/4 of an inch thick. Before attaching these drawer faces, I'm adding another round over to each edge to match the rest of the design. To keep things simple, these drawer boxes will install in the center of the drawer face, so I just need to measure for even overhangs on all sides, add a little bit of wood glue, and secure using a pneumatic nailer. Next, I'm going to add some brass drawer knobs that I picked up at the local hardware store. I'm just adding 1 per drawer, so these will install in the very center of the drawer face and just need a pre-drilled hole for the supplied bolt. This method may vary depending on the hardware that you use, so keep that in mind and refer to your manufacturer's instructions. I decided to add a flip top to this project with some interior storage to make it a little bit more functional for jewelry. To do this, I'm going to add a plywood base above the top drawer to act as a shallow trunk. This will be cut out of the leftover 1/2-inch plywood and cut to the same size as the interior space. After a quick test fit, we can move on to installing the hinge for the top. For this top, we're using a 12-inch brass piano hinge, so I just need to measure and center it in the middle of the cabinet. To keep the top flush, I decided to route a channel along the back edge that is the same thickness as the piano hinge. This will allow the top to open up smoothly but keep it flush when closed. To make this cut, I'm just using a handheld router with a cutting bit and freehanding it as close to the line as possible. Next, we're going to insert the piano hinge into the channel and install using these supplied screws. These are very small brass screws, so it is important to pre-drill and install using a screwdriver instead of a drill bit. Once the hinge is installed onto the top, we can transfer those marks onto the cabinet and repeat that same process. The last step for this project is to add some wooden drawer stops along the back edge of the face frame. This will keep the drawers from sliding out when pulled, but can still be turned to remove the drawers if needed. For this, I'm just using a small little 2-inch wood block with a brass screw to make for a nice presentation. It is important to pre-drill these holes to avoid cracking or splitting the wood since this is a small piece. As you can see here, the drawer is able to go in smoothly, and once the lock is turned, they cannot fall out. Now that our project is fully assembled, we can sand everything to 150 grit, add a quick coat of finish, and take a closer look. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you're interested in any of the products used in this build, be sure to check out the links below. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment, and we'll see you next time in the Builder Studio.